Okay, today we are breaking down a crisis that has everyone, and I mean the entire world, holding their breath. A sudden power vacuum in Iran has kicked off a massive military response. And the geopolitical map as we know it is being redrawn, like right now, in real time. Let's get right into it. Yeah, this is the big question, isn't it? It's on everyone's mind. This thing has escalated so fast it's hard to even keep up. So, what we're going to do is use the latest reports to figure out exactly how we got here. And more importantly, what could happen next. So, how did this all just ignite out of nowhere? Well, this whole crisis just exploded with incredible speed, bringing us to this exact moment. Today, March 6th, 2026. Let's quickly walk through the chain of events that brought us right to the edge. It all happened so fast. First, the death of Iran's supreme leader. That created this huge power vacuum. And almost immediately, the US and Israel made a dramatic military move. And listen, this was not some warning shot. This was the beginning of a major campaign. That brings us right to where we are today, with the situation getting more intense by the hour. Now, what's really fascinating here is this fundamental shift in strategy. For years, the official policy was all about containment. Now it's called active dismantling. And that's not just a change in words, okay? It signals a brand new goal to completely wipe out Iran's military capabilities. It's a way more aggressive, way more high-stakes approach, and it's almost certainly time to take advantage of the chaos from that leadership vacuum. And this quote right here just shows you how rigid that new approach really is. According to Al Jazeera, President Trump has made the U.S. position unbelievably clear. There's no negotiation on the table, no finding a middle ground. It's an ultimatum, plain and simple. And that leaves almost zero room for any kind of diplomacy. So, with diplomacy basically off the table, the conflict is blowing up on the ground. But what's really happening? Well, that is a subject of some pretty fierce debate. You've got a war of narratives that's almost as intense as the war of missiles. Let's take a look at these competing claims. So, from the American side of things, the mission is being painted as a huge success. The public line from the defense secretary is that Iran's ability to even fight back is just collapsing. It suggests this whole active dismantling thing is going to be quick and decisive. But is that the whole story? Not even close. I mean, look at this. While U.S. and Israeli strikes are hitting targets in Tehran, including civilian areas like schools and stadiums, Iran is striking back. And they're striking back hard. They've hit U.S. bases in Qatar, they've attacked a synagogue in Jerusalem. They are proving they are far from dismantled. And this quote from an Iranian official says it all. Our strategic patience has ended. This is not a military that's evaporating. It's one that is hitting back. You know, it's easy to see this as something happening over there. But this conflict isn't staying in the Middle East. Its shockwaves are already being felt all over the world, from our own financial markets all the way to the most vulnerable people on the planet. Let's dig into that economic and human cost. So why should this matter to you? Well, just look at the markets. Bloomberg is reporting that tech stocks are in an absolute freefall. The fear is that a wider war could just completely choke off the world's oil supply, and if that happens, it could send the entire global economy into a tailspin. This crisis is already hitting people's financial security everywhere. But the cost isn't just about money, not even close. As these geopolitical tensions rise, the very frameworks that are supposed to protect civilians, they just start to break down. A recent UN Women report highlighted a horrifying symptom of all this instability, an 87% surge in sexual violence and conflicts just over the last 2 years. And Seema Bahous of UN Women connects the statistic directly to a total system failure. Her words are just this stark reminder that as big conflicts like the one in Iran escalate, the systems that are meant to protect the most vulnerable are often the very first things to completely collapse. So, what about the rest of the world? How is everyone responding? Well, nations are being forced to pick a side, and it's turning this regional fight into a really complex and dangerous game of global chess. Let's look at who's who on the board. So, you've got the US and Israel, and they see this as a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Then there's Europe, which is totally split. You have Spain pushing for cooperation, while France is literally moving fighter jets into the region. And then, crucially, you have the Gulf states, like Qatar, stuck right in the middle, warning that their energy exports, which Europe completely depends on, could just stop within weeks. And all of this brings us to the final and most critical question. With the world dividing and the battlefield widening, is there any chance at all for a peaceful way out of this? Is there one last off-ramp before total catastrophe? The diplomatic situation is just stuck. It's a total deadlock. Reports suggest Iran is putting out signals that they're willing to talk, but, from their point of view, how can you negotiate when bombs are still falling? But for the U.S., those signals are meaningless. The terms haven't changed. Unconditional surrender or the strikes continue. There's just no room for a conversation there.
So that's where we are, at a global tipping point. The choice is about as stark as it gets. Find some kind of diplomatic off-ramp, which, let's be honest, looks more and more unlikely by the hour, or face a total regional collapse that could very well trigger a global depression. The stakes just could not be higher.